Hi everyone, welcome back to the Scrapbook Garage YouTube channel. I hope you've all had a great week. Here we are again. We missed you last week. I'm so sorry that we didn't have a video for you last week, but it's been a little crazy here. We had our Cocoa and Candy Canes event on Saturday, so thank you to everyone that came out to our holiday open house. It's so amazing to see you all, and it's one of my favorite events of the year. So I thank you all that came and supported the store and enjoyed some make and takes and had a few little cookies and crafts and all sorts of things. Yeah, it was a fun day. If you missed it, don't worry. We have something fun coming in January for those of you that live a little further away. We're working on an event on our online store and our online platform, so stay tuned for that, and we will share information as soon as we can. But yeah, so we've had a busy couple weeks. I have a fun project to share with you today. It's kind of a prototype, but we're going to create one on the live together today. And it's just a project that you'll be able to create in a few minutes, probably 30 minutes to an hour, somewhere in there. Using some cut apart sheets. So lots of times in the store we're asked what you use cut apart sheets for and how they can be used. So I've designed a little mini folio that you'll be able to create. This one happens to be winter themed, but you could use any of the products in the store that you find for that you find cut apart sheets for. The project's designed to fit them perfectly. So you will have a little bit of a border around, but I'll show you in a minute. I better introduce myself. For those of you that are new, my name is Sue. I own a store called Scrapbook Garage in Parksville, British Columbia, Canada, and this is a brand new YouTube channel. We've only been live for about 6 weeks now, maybe 7. So we're learning as we go. So if you're joining us, then pop into the chat and say hello. We'd love to meet you. And if you do create some of the projects that you see on our YouTube channel, please visit the other links on our channel. We have other projects for you there. So, and if you do create any of them, please share your projects. We'd love to see what you're working on and what you're creating with the videos that we're making. And if you do create them, you're welcome to share them in our Facebook page. We have a Facebook page called the Scrapbook Garage Creative Community that you're welcome to join. Share any of the projects that you create there as well. Or you can email them to us or text them to the store number. They would all be ways that you can share what you create. And we would love to see what you're creating as well. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to switch to my overhead camera and I'll walk you through the little project that we're going to make today. Bear with me for 1 second. There we go. We will show you here. This is the little project, the little folio that we've made today. It fits a 4x6. This cut apart on the front is 4x6. And you can see it's got a little Magic of Winter and then a little project on the back. Just has a little ribbon closure here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and show you the inside. There's a little pocket on this side that allows you to tuck in a few little pieces. Let me take one of those with me. There's also a pocket on this side if you chose to add some pictures in there. I'm going to open that up and it's got 2 little flaps. This is intended to put 4x6 photos in here. You could put another 2x3 on this side, 2x3 cut apart on this side. We'll fold that again. And again, it's a mirror of the first page. So a little tuck spot in here and another one on this side. Where this one is tucked in, and again you can just use these little cut apart pieces. So and then just the ribbon closure. So I'll tuck those back in. And one of the cool things about this project is it actually uses just 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. So that's great too. You don't need a ton of supplies. These are the cut apart sheets that I'm speaking of, that I was speaking of earlier. A lot of times people see them in the store and they go, I don't know what I would use those for. They're a little bit big. On the back there, or the B side, there's always a pattern paper. And this one here is called the Magic of Winter by Echo Park Paper. Super cute with the little penguins. Wake me up when winter ends. Sometimes when I'm freezing cold, that's how I feel too. To have and hold in case you get cold. Cuddle weather, cold days and warm hearts. So that's the one sheet. They also come in 4x4 squares, so you can cut these apart and use them on your projects. Here you can see we've used this Winter Days one that's in the middle. We're going to use a few of the other ones today when we create a second project, just so that we're using up some of the other paper as well. But you can see how they cut apart, and then the B side on this one is little raindrops, so that's kind of cute. This one we have the 2x3s. There's all the little tuck spots, then the little pieces that we have on the flaps of the album. So you can see here, I'll bring this back in. You can see where we've added these little flaps here. Baby, It's Cold Outside, The Snuggle Is Real, and Hot Cocoa. And we've made the album to fit these little cut apart pieces. So Hot Cocoa, in the middle we can build a snowman, The Magic of Winter. This one's super cute, Time to Chase Snowflakes. I thought that was cute. It was the wrong orientation for this particular project, but it was a very cute one as well. Baby, It's Cold Outside. Lots of fun ones. And then again, the B side is like snowflakes, little pattern. This one here that has the cutest snowflakes, snowmen, little cute little snowmen and beautiful snowflakes on a navy background. We've got some beautiful trees and some plaid paper. We've got a couple snowflake sheets. This one's navy and kind of a like lighter navy blue, and then wood grain. And then the last, oh, we have two more. This one here, this one's one of my favorites. I think this one's just beautiful. I've used it a little bit in this project. Snowflakes on the back. And then again, we've got the beautiful blue snowflakes and flowers with white and blue snowflakes on the back. So again, this one is called The Magic of Winter. I don't know if you can see that. I know we still struggle with the light, but there we go. Magic of Winter by Echo Park Paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set these aside, and we're going to jump into creating this little book. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer and scoreboard. And I have a couple of sheets of, we'll see how we go with the white paper. Oh, it's not so bad today. A little bit shadowy, but not too bad. So I have some white, and this is just white 8.5 by 11, 110-pound cardstock. And we have 2 sheets of that. So, and then we just need some of the other pattern papers. So here I have, I'm just grabbing some paper off the side here. I have some other bits and pieces because I've created this first one, right? And now we're going to use these bits and pieces to create the second one. So these are all from the paper that I just showed you. You can see there's the 2x3s. There's the more 2x3s, another 4x6, 4x6s, and then I've just cut some paper down just to make it a little more efficient. So we're going to use some of that today to make a second version of this little album here. So I'm just going to set those aside. I'll set this one aside, and then we'll jump right in. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut down my paper here, and the first cut I'm going to make, I want it to be 4 1/4. So I'm just cutting this sheet in half. For those of you that have this trimmer, this is the We Are Memory Keepers trim and scoreboard. So this rail here, when I flip it over like that, it's actually for when I score. So you'll see me do that. But right now we need the cutting aspect. So I'm going to move that to the cutting blade. I'm going to line up the left side of my paper here at 4 1/4. And I'm going to cut it all the way down. And then that should be exactly in half. I'm just going to make sure that that's exactly half, and it is. So what I'm going to do now is this one needs to be cut down to 7 1/4 so that it measures 7 1/4 by 4 1/4. So there we go. So 7 1/4 by 4 1/4. I'm going to save this extra little flat piece. Oh, sorry about the sun. You can see the sun rays coming in now. Well, I don't want to apologize for them because they're going to disappear soon enough, but with it being winter. But I apologize for the shadows on the deck of the trimmer. So we're going to save this off cut because this is what we're going to use to create the flaps. So I'm just going to set that aside. And then I'm also going to go ahead and cut this second piece down to 7 1/4 by 4 1/4. So I'm just lining that up at 7 1/4. Cut that off. I'm going to save this piece as well. Now I'm going to come in with my stylus. I could use this trimmer has a little onboard scoring tool as well. I could use that as well, but I prefer to use a little stylus. It just fits a little bit better in the rails for this particular project. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this over, move my blade to the top, and now I'm just going to make sure that this is at 7 1/4. It's like pushed right up against the side here, and I'm going to go ahead and score this at 1 inch. Okay. And then just to make it ready to receive a fold, I'm going to go ahead and lightly do that on the other side. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the second piece. So again, at 1 inch, I'm going to flip this over and score it again at 1 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and set those two pieces aside just for a moment. And I'm going to bring in our second piece of cardstock here. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut this one again at 4 1/4. So there we go. Flip this over. I'm going to put this at 4 1/4. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that. So that should be exactly in half. Just double check that that one's again in half. And it is. And this time when we cut it, we're going to cut it at 6 1/4. And go ahead and cut that at 6 1/4. And again, we're going to keep this little off piece because we're going to use that to create a flap. And then again, we're going to put this one in and do it at 6 1/4. So now we have 2 at 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. I'm going to flip that over, make sure my blade's at the top. So this time when we go ahead and score this one, we're going to score it at 1/2 inch instead of 1 inch. Okay, so we're just going to put it there, score it at 1/2 inch, and then do the same with the second piece. Go ahead and score it at 1/2 inch. And these are what is going to create our pages. So how this works is you have two pieces that are, these ones are the inside pages. These are 6 1/4 by 4 1/4 with 1/2 inch. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this one. You can probably see this score line a little bit there. So I'm going to turn this one, and we're going to put those two together just like that and match them up so that that creates the inner pages. So to do that, I'm just going to flip this over. I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of the, right up to the score line. I don't want to go over the score line because that will interrupt the flow of that fold. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to add a second piece of tape right along that edge. Burnish that down with my hand, tear that off. And then I'll go ahead and remove the backing here. And then to add these two pages together, what I do is I take advantage of the straight edges of my trimmer. So I'm going to push these, I'm lifting this, pushing this up to the top so that it's flat against the top up here. And then I'm lining up this score line here with that corner, and then the edge of this paper with the other score line. And when I get those in the right place, I just want to make sure it doesn't go over top of the score line. Then when I get that in the right place, I can just let that go and go ahead and burnish that down. And then we can go ahead and fold these papers into place. I'm just going to go gently here. And that forms the inner pages. And then we're going to repeat the same process with this one with the 1 inch scores. So see how they have, these ones are a little bit wider. These have a 1 inch score on them. So we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to flip one over. I'm going to add some tape here right along the edge of the score line. I'm going to add a second row right along that edge, tear that off. Just burnish that down with my finger. And then I'm just going to go ahead and peel the tape here. There we go. And same thing again, I'm just going to hold this right at the top of my trimmer here. Again, I'm going to line up the score line with the corner and the edge of the paper with that score line. And once I have that where I would like it, I'm just going to let it go and go ahead and burnish that over top. Okay, then I'm just going to go ahead and pull that page towards me and that one as well. Just fold those a little bit. And then I'm going to lay this back down because what we're going to do is we're going to add some adhesive to here, and then we're going to center this between this score line and that score line. And they should be the same height as the album itself. So we're going to add it just like that, and that will create our base pages. So I'm going to open this up and add a little bit of adhesive here. I'm going to peel that one off because I don't want to add the second row over top of the first one without removing the backing first. There we go. Perfect. And I'm just going to tear that extra little piece off and then remove the backing here. So when I line this up, I'm going to use the top again. And this time I'm just going to kind of hold this up. I'm sliding it into place, and I'm watching this score line with that one, this score line with that one, and trying to center it as best I can. Once I have it in place, then I'm just going to lay it down and give it a little push. So that actually creates our little base for us. So you can see how now we have a booklet that has the 4 pages. Okay, so what we're going to do now is bring in these other, we're going to set this piece aside. We're going to bring in these other 2. And I'm going to cut some of the, I'm going to make the 2 flaps first. So I just have to find the measurement for the flaps. So give me 1 second. There we go. So 4 1/4. So that's the 4 1/4 side. Oops. So when you finish the offcuts, you'll have 2 of these that are 1 inch bigger than the other, I believe. So these ones are 4 1/4 by 4 5/8, and then these ones are 4 1/4 by 3 3/4. So I just want to make sure that we're cutting the right pieces. So this flap, let me just see where we're at here. So this piece, I believe, is the flap. Yes. So the smaller pieces are going to be the flaps, and the larger pieces are going to be the pockets. So I'm just going to set the large piece aside. I'm going to actually pull those smaller ones in. And what we're going to do is on the 3 3/4 inch side, we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to flip that over. So again, this measures 3 3/4, and the other side is there we go, is 4 1/4. So in the 3 3/4 inch side, I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch. There we go. Sorry guys, out of the frame. So there we go. So see 3 3/4. You want to score it at 1/2 inch, and then do the same thing with the other one. So we're at 3 3/4. We're going to score it at 1/2 inch. Okay, we're going to fold these over, and we're going to attach these to the base so that these form the flap. Okay, so I'm just going to pull the base back in, and they will go right in the middle. So right on those little pages, one is going to go on this side, and one is going to go on that side. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to just go ahead and add some more tape to, this is double-sided Be Creative or score tape, Suquang tape, whichever way you'd like to, whatever you like to call it. There's 3 or 4 different names for it. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the backing. I'll add another little run just right at the edge there so that that gets that whole flap covered in tape. Burnish that down with my hand. Just going to go ahead and remove that backing. Make sure there's no tape. There's a little bit of tape overhanging. I'm not sure if you can see that. So I'm just going to take a minute and roll that to the back. There we go. And then to attach this, I'm just going to fold this over, bring the base in, and I'm just going to line up the scored edge with the edge of the paper here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Make sure that that's at the same height, and when I'm happy, I'm just going to pinch that together. There we go. And then I'm going to repeat that for the other side. So, and if you're watching us live, just pop into the chat and say hello. It'd be nice to be able to say hello to you all. If you're watching on the replay, also pop in and say hello. It's been great to know that you're watching on the replay too. That's great. Okay, again, I'm just going to add a second run of adhesive down the flap here. Just give that a little bit of a burnish, and then I'm just going to go ahead and remove the backing, and then the same thing again. I'm just going to go ahead and attach this. I'm just attaching this edge to the edge of this paper here. Just lining those two up, and when I'm happy, I'm just going to pinch that together, line up the other side, and then that's good to go too. So that gives us the two flaps on the middle pages. Okay, and then these ones here, these other two pieces that we had set aside, we're just going to make sure of which side is the 4 1/4 inch side. Let me just put that in there so I can see. So we want to see, so that's 4 3/4. So this is that's the vertical, that's the vertical of the page. So when we're creating this, we want to be sure that we maintain this 4 1/4 height. So which that is, so when I cut it, I'm going to turn it so that it stays at the 4 1/4 inch height. So let me just double check. I'll show you what we're doing here. So each of these pieces, these two pieces are the same size, and what they will do is they are going to create the white background for these pockets, that pocket, this pocket, and then the other one will create that pocket and that pocket. So in order to do that, we need to make sure that we're maintaining the right height when we cut it. So if I put it this way and cut it, see how that will, let me move that away. See how that will cut, that it'll be too short. But if I turn it this way when I cut it, it will be the right height. And these just get cut in half, and they're going to be cut at 2 3/8. So I'm just going to flip this over. Oops. So that after we cut them, they should measure 2 3/8 by 4 1/4. So 2 3/8. And that should make these both in half, which it does. And then this one as well is going to get cut at, just want to make sure I cut the right side. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's the 4 1/4. There we go. So I'm going to cut, this is the side that I'm cutting is the 4 3/4 inch side. And I'm cutting it at 2 3/8. To cut them in half. Whew, that was a lot of work. There we go. Got it right. Okay, so that should let me set my trimmer aside for a few minutes here while we put those pockets in place. We don't want to stick them down just yet, so but to hold them in place, I'm going to use my repositional adhesive so that I know that I've got all the pieces. And the reason I don't want to stick them down is we're going to have to decide what pattern paper we would like on the back before we stick them down. So, but I'm just going to put them in place so that we remember that that's going to be a pocket. So that will be a pocket. And then this other one on the other side here is also going to be a pocket. So I will just set one of those there. And then this middle has the two flaps. And then the next page has the other two pockets. So I'm going to go ahead and just put one in place. One in place there. And then one in place here. Oh, hi, Linda Toman Creates. How are you? I hope you're having a great day and enjoying the live here. There we go. That's that one there. Thanks for joining us. That's great. Okay, so now I'm going to pull in a piece of ribbon and also the extra little bits of paper that I have here. So, so I have the ribbon and I also have all the little bits and pieces. So what I'm going to do, because we're going to use a ribbon closure, we need a piece that's probably about, I would say about 12 inches and then doubled so that we have enough to make a bow and things like that. You probably might not need that much, maybe 10 inches. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut that in half with my scissors here. I'm just going to trim that off. I'll set this piece aside because we don't need that. And then I'll go ahead and trim this off. And then, so what we're going to do here is, again, I'm just going to put a little bit of repositional adhesive in the middle there so that we can remember to put the ribbon on before we put the paper on in place. So, and then once we have an idea of which paper we're going to use, we'll be able to put this in place with proper adhesive. So there we go. So you can see that I have just the extra here. That's how it's going to stay into the album. And at this point, I want to choose which end, like which way should be the top of the album and which way will be the bottom. So you can see here, these pocket pieces are a little bit long. So before I put those in place, I'll trim those down with my guillotine trimmer. You can see it here as well. But that's okay. They're just placeholders right now. They're not glued down yet. So we're okay so far. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have a look at the 4x6 pieces that I've cut out of these pattern papers. Let me just bring them back in again to show you. So let me just flip through. We'll find the 4x6 images. There, that one there. So, and what we've done is we used one of those on the front of this one. So Winter Vibes we've already used. So we have a few others that we can choose from. So we could do Walking in a Winter Wonderland. This one's a little bit, not a lot of contrast between the cover, but very cute. I've also cut down some paper already so that would save us a bit of time to having to hold in case you get cold. Wake Me Up When Winter Ends. That was cute. There's also Cuddle Weather and Cold Days, Warm Hearts. So I think I'm going to use the Wake Me Up When Winter Ends. Just so cute. And we'll save the other ones for the inside. So once we've chosen that, now I know which background paper. See on the background here, you've got the trees. So what I would tend to do with that being the case is I would find another one of these that match, and it doesn't have to match, but it's just my preferred way to do it. Everybody can design how they like, and I would put that piece on the back so that it provides some cohesion between the front and the back. That's great. Yeah, it's really cute paper. It's really cute. And I love that the measurements and everything just match the size perfectly, right? If you wanted to, you could increase the size a little bit or trim these down if you wanted a coordinating mat, like if you wanted to have a blue mat underneath this or silver, that would look really pretty as well. But I wanted something that was quick and easy, that would come together fairly quickly and allow people to create a gift that wouldn't take too long for them to put together. Especially this time of year. It's very, very busy. So yeah, it's busy this time of year. So what I'm going to do, I'm just getting my glue ready. I'm using the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, but I also love the Be Creative tape. I also use art glitter. I use all sorts of different types of adhesives. So, and I'm just going to add a couple of runs, just about 2 inches, 1.5 inches, something like that, right to the cover there. I'm just going to burnish that tape down. I'm going to peel this off if I can. There we go. I feel like I'm working in a shadow here because every time we turn, let's see if this is better or worse. Yeah, see if we turn that on, it turns everything washed out. Let's try that one. That's washed out too. So shadows are better than not being able to see, I guess. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue that ribbon down. And then before I add the pattern paper to the front and back, I'm going to do the other side as well. So I'm just going to flip that over. Add this little bit of tape again to the back. Pull that off, give that a little burnish. This comes together pretty quickly once you have the pieces cut. And I love that there's not a lot of scrap cardstock left over. I don't know about you, but whenever I make a folio, there seems to be more waste than anything. So this one, it uses up all of the pieces from that cardstock without any over scrap or anything. So okay, so we chose this one for the front, so we're going to go ahead and do that for the front. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that in place. You could use tape as well, but in the interest of time, glue is a little bit faster. But I'm just going to add some glue to that. And I'll go ahead. Sorry if I put my head in the camera. I'm trying to see over top of here to make sure that I get it in the right place. There we go. And this will fold flat still too. So you can just go ahead and put some pressure on. And then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to add the other piece to the other side. And again, I'm just going to fold that flat so that we can add the adhesive there and put the paper on. Well, there we go. This adhesive is really great too. I'm not sure if everybody's tried it or not, but it gives us a little bit of playtime, a little bit of wiggle room. So it's kind of nice to, especially in a situation where you can't really see your edges very well, lets us have some time to just kind of wiggle them into place. There we go. That's a little bit crooked. There, that's a bit better. So then I'm just going to go ahead and adhere that down. And then we will add a piece to the spine as well, but I'm going to wait to see if we cut off any of the offcuts from this paper before we go ahead and do that. Just because it doesn't make sense to cut it down now and then need a bigger piece later, right? So these here, now is the time I'm going to go ahead and trim just a little bit off of these. You saw them hanging over a little bit. So, and how I'm going to do that is just bring in my little We Are Memory Keeper guillotine trimmer here. Let's see, there we go. Let me move my glue out of the way. So I just have a little guillotine, and I know that it needs about 1/8 of an inch taken off. So I'm just going to lift this. I'm just going to trim about 1/8 of an inch off. You could measure it if you like, but I had a pretty good idea of how much it needed to come off. So now that I've got that in place, check the other one here. This one also, that one's pretty good. That one is pretty good as well. Check this one at the back here. It needs another 1/8 inch taken off as well. So I'm just going to flip that over, take it off, and then I'll set that aside. I'll tuck those back into place. So those now will fit a little bit better on there. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to skip these 2 pages and I'm going to decide what is going to go here because they're the next largest. I always work from the largest to the smallest just to give us a little bit of flexibility. So we have a snowman print. We could do a snowman print there. We do have a few of these left over, so we could put another one here or we could flip it over and use the other side. So let's just see. I'm just going to organize these into what we have left here. There's another 4x6. There's one more down here. That's beautiful too. That one is, I'm going to set this one aside just because it's the wrong orientation for this particular project, but we'll save that for another project. These square ones we're going to set aside for a moment because we need to do the flaps first. So there we go. Well, now I'm a little more organized. Okay, so we have to have and to hold. There's another one of the tree print, which is very cute as well. And then the snowflakes and these 2. So I kind of like cold days, warm hearts, and I imagine another photograph to go on this side. So I think I might do something like that. I always do a cool, or what we call a dry fit first. And because these are going on the inside, these images and pieces of paper measure 4x6, but you can see they're overhanging right now. So we would have to trim these down just a little bit to fit, which means taking a little bit off each side. So I think that will go, but let's try it with some of these. In the middle, we can build a snowman. That's cute. That could go there and it matches nicely on that side. And then we kind of need a little bit of a contrast piece. So let's see. We have, let's see what else we can find. More wiggle room in time with wet glue. That's for sure. Yes, it absolutely is true. You get a little bit more wiggle room. Okay, so if I put this one here, notice that there's not a lot of contrast. So what I'm going to do to fix that is I'm just going to swap these 2. So, and then it kind of gives it a little more balance, right? Because there we've got a dark and then a light and then a dark and then a light, or the other way, light, dark, light, dark. So those look pretty good. What I'm going to do is you could measure this if you chose to. I tend to work with a pencil and my eye more than measuring, and I'll put the measurements on the downloadable Spark sheet once we're done. For those of you that are familiar or new to our channel, I always give a project sheet after our live is finished that includes the measurements and a cutting guide for you. So this one here, we're going to cut that piece off just because it's a little bit too long for this particular spot that we're going to put it, and it's a solid, so I don't have to worry about cutting any of the words off. So that is now going to measure 5 1/4. So, and I'm going to save this piece too, because this is what we'll use on the spines later. So I'm going to save that piece. So now this piece will fit right in there. So we can go ahead and adhere that one down. Go ahead and add some glue here. There we go. And it's a little hard because I'm so used to like being right over top of where I'm working that I don't have ability to see if things are going on straight. So if they're crooked, I apologize, but we do the best we can while we're live, and then we'll adjust anything we need to adjust after. So, and then for this one, because this measurement here, we want it to be from the score line. We don't want it to go over top because that's where the bend in the page is. Let me see if I can show you what I mean. So see how this bends right there? If we were to put this like this, you're actually going over top of the spine. So we want to back that up so that it only goes to the score line. So, but because it has images on both sides, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these score lines to help me balance the cuts that I'm going to make. I don't want to take it all off one side or I'll lose the whole house on this side. So I'm going to take a little bit off this side and a little bit off that side. So this one is going to go to about right there. We're just going to make a little mark. And then the same on this side, probably about just right at the edge of that. And then I'll bring my trimmer back in and go ahead and trim that down. Flip this around. Go ahead and trim that down. I lose a little bit of the house, but not too bad. Again, we'll save those little bits and pieces so that we can have them be part of the spines if we need them to be. So that's not too bad. I'll do a dry fit. If I'm happy with how that fits, I'm going to go ahead and add that down. Just add a bit of glue. Yeah, that's so true, Linda. That's so true. A lot of us do eyeball, and you know, once you've been crafting for a little while, we can get pretty close, but sometimes it has to be a little technical. But this project, I think it's fairly easy to get it where we need it to be. So there we go. And then these little 2x3s, they are 2.5 by 3.5, I think they are, or 2 by 3. That's what they are. I've designed it so they fit exactly right on that flap, so you won't have to do any trimming, unless it happens to be you wanted to even it up or something like that. But we can go ahead and glue this one down. It's so fun to have like something to do with those little the papers. Usually when we shop for paper, we're looking at the like pattern paper designs and things. And now we will have, oop, did you see that slip there? Let me make sure that gets back in place. There we go. It's nice to have some options for those pieces of paper that have all those wonderful sentiments and different things on it that bring a project together. So again, this side, we're going to go ahead and glue that one in place. Because that one's ready to go. There we go. Just glue that down. Oh, there we go. Perfect. And then you can see here, this little piece here that we cut off of this piece is big enough that we can trim it down and cover that spine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this at 4 1/4. That's the height of, or 4, this is actually 4 inches. So we're going to cut that to 4 inches, which it is already, but I'm just going to trim this in half, and that will give us the exact measurement that we need. And how I do that, here's a little, if you have this trimmer, notice that there's no measurements here because this metal bar is here. What I do when I need to cut it in half, at that point, I actually use the screws to help me. So I'm looking at the circular part of the screw, and I'm going to hold that right on there and just kind of make sure that it's straight, kind of touching the screw in the same spot. I'm going to watch my fingers because this can be pretty dangerous to pull down. I've removed the guide because I prefer it to be able to hold the paper in place. And then I just pull that down, and now we've got 2 that are the same size. So there we go. See? So yeah, so I just used the screws to help me. You could measure it again if you chose to, but then I'm just going to glue that down. And because this is here, I'm going to flip it over and give us a little bit of a contrast piece there. So go ahead and add a bit of glue. And if I get a little bit too much, there's quite a bit of glue on the top there. If there's any overbleed, I'm going to wipe it off right away because it does dry clear. So I'm hoping that it won't squish out from the edges, but if it does, I just wipe it with my finger and then I can just rub my fingers together and it disappears. So there we go. We're going to save this one for later because I'm sure we'll have another gusset that we have to cover. So that's the inside of the folio. So now we can go ahead and close that up. We're going to work on the flaps here now. We'll find another couple images here. I think we have a couple left. Oh yeah, look at that. There's a couple there. So we've got the magic of winter, or you could actually put it this way and then intend to put a photo here, which would be very nice as well. Yeah, so I'm just going to play with these for a minute to see which way looks a little nicer. I think I like this one on that side and this on that, and that will pull the black in from that side to this side. So I think that will be good. So we can go ahead and glue those down in place. Glue that one onto there. And again, you could leave these little sentiment pieces off and put photographs in their places, right? But because we have all these little pieces left over, I think I used 4 sheets of pattern paper and 2 sheets of cardstock to make this little project. So it's not so bad. It's it comes together pretty quickly. So, and then I'm just going to glue this one in place as well. And if you chose to, I was thinking this would make a really cute gift card, like a little album to hold gift cards as well. You could add a little bit more paper and put a pocket in, stick a little gift card inside there, or in the back of each of these flaps. That would be cute too. But for this project, I just was thinking photographs. So, okay, so now I've just turned to the front of the book. So this is the book front, Wake Me Up When Winter Ends. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the background papers here. So we have this one. I think we already added that to the back, which we did. We have that one. We have just a few pieces left here. We can pull in some more if we do need some more, but these larger ones now won't work for these because they are broken up. And if we cut them, we would be cutting the wording in half. So they won't work there or there. We'll flip to the back. That doesn't work there or there either, but now we can flip it over and we know that we have a pattern paper that will match. So we can go ahead and choose where we would like those pieces to go. This one here is a little bit different because you could see how if we wanted to put the cup there, that's actually cute. Maybe that will go there. So I'm going to go ahead and use that there. I can tell because I'm looking at the top here where you can see the little piece of the pocket underneath. I don't know if you can see that, but I can see the little ridge of the pocket and it's before the blue. So I'm just going to bring my trimmer in and I'm going to cut this down and it will probably fit right on top of that pocket. So I know that it needs to be right at that edge where the blue changes to white. So on this trimmer, it's like, I would say it's like 2 1/4 short, or small, as my husband would say, which means just under the 2 1/4 inch mark. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim that off, maybe just a tiny bit more. There we go. And then even though it's offset, it'll be okay because we can square that up when we add the other paper. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that piece. So this was the offcut from there. You can see how I've cut that off. I'm just going to flip that over and I could put it there. Let's see what happens if we add that might actually work too, but I think I prefer tying in the pattern paper. So let's leave that like that for a moment. And then we need to find a contrasting paper that will let us have a bit of contrast. So we could do that image there. So that's cute. We can just go ahead and mark that with a pencil. I'm going to go ahead and trim that down. Make sure I'm doing that correctly. So that goes there. Again, I'm just doing a dry fit. So there we go. That's going to go there. I'm going to use my repositional adhesive just to hold them in place, tack them in place for a minute, because I may want to move these around yet. I'm not 100% sure. That's going to go there. That will go there. There we go. This piece is going to go there. Just hold that in place. I've tucked this under the pocket piece here. And then once we're happy with all of our placement, we can go in and we could either add this piece to tie that in. So you've got these two that are kind of talking to each other, and then these two that are kind of talking to each other. And that helps to balance out some of the design. So I'm going to go ahead and, because I already have a pencil mark on this side, I'm thinking that I can trim it from that side. And my hesitation was like, but then I'm going to lose this whole tree, whereas this side is already cut off. So maybe I'll just go ahead and erase that pencil mark, and I'm going to trim that down right to that tree stump there. There we go. Use my little eraser and take some of those pencil marks off. That's good. I'm going to go ahead and add my pattern paper to there. I'm just making sure that all of the reveals or all these little borders are about the same. Then we've got some of these little pieces that we cut off from some of the other pages. We do have those to play with as well for the little spine piece. That one doesn't have much pattern on it. It kind of disappears, so I don't think I'm going to use that. But this one might be very cute to tie the dark together. So again, I'm just going to pull in my trimmer. I'm going to this time be extremely careful with my fingers because we're getting smaller and smaller as we go. I'm going to go ahead and trim that down. There we go. Set this aside. And then just going to measure here which one fits better. That one, I think this one fits a bit better. So once I'm happy with that, I can just put that in place with a little bit of repositional adhesive as well. There we go. So that kind of has a nice flow. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the back here. So let's think about this for a second. So this piece fits quite well on the back page. Where's the seam? There's the seam. We'll be able to trim that down just a little bit. We can add a piece of this maybe here. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna just measure this. And because I can't really see the dark, because it's dark, I'm going to flip it over and measure it because the measurement will be the same. So I'm just going to mark that with my pencil on the lighter side so I can see where I need to trim it. Pull this in. And like I say, you could measure all of these and, you know, make them extremely precise, but I find that sometimes it's easier to know how to adjust in case this piece is a little bit smaller than one other piece, or maybe it's tilted a different way or something. It's nice to have a few things to kind of be able to do that. That's great. That's great. Thank you, Linda. Thanks for joining us. Have fun with your company. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and if you watch on the replay, if you make one, please share it with us so we can see how you've put it together. If you use different paper or the same paper, I'd love to see your design as well. That's great. And then just going to go ahead and trim off that little pocket so that we can add this little piece here. That's going to go ahead and go right there. And I'm just, again, making sure it's not going to overlap any of the score lines. And then this piece here, because that is on that side, I think it would be fun to pull that into this side. Let's see how we can, there we go. That's a bit better. Go ahead and add that piece. Again, I need to flip it over because I can't see to be able to do the trim. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and trim this down. Make sure that's straight. Perfect. You could lose that side too. You could use that side too. Very pretty too. I love the snowflakes. I prefer the darker side of that. And we do have this piece here that would be big enough to go there, but we've already got one cut for that side. So I think this one, I think maybe we'll pull in the, or maybe we could move that to there. Yeah, I think I like that a little bit better. Where we, what else do we have? That's not going to work because that one is a 4x6. So we'll set that aside and use that on another project. We do have this paper. That could work if we did that. But I think it needs the anchor or the heaviness on the outside. So let's see here. Let's see. I think that one, even though these will match, I think that's a better choice from the papers we have left. So I'm just going to go ahead and measure that down again. I can't see that, so I have to flip that over. Mark that where I want to trim it. Go ahead and trim that down. Again, I'm going to save this little offcut because that might work to cover one of our spines. That's good. So that's going to go right there. There we go. And then this piece, we could flip it over. I think that's cute. I think that's pretty cute. I think we'll use that. So then this will just get a little bit of adhesive here. And I'll go in with an eraser when I'm all done and take that little mark off the corner there that you can see with my pencil. So now we know where all the flow of it all is going to be. And then we could use these. We could cut down some photo mats and tuck them into the pockets. So here, you know, we could cut this down and tuck it into the pocket there. Or we can cut this one down and tuck it into the pocket on this side and have some photographs included. That one's already got a cover. This one actually doesn't need a cover. It looks like it's right. Oh, yeah, it does. Right in the corner there. Let's see. I think I like this piece. What's this one? Yeah, I think I like this piece. So we're just going to go ahead and trim this down to fit in that little gusset there. I'll hold this in place. Again, kind of using those screws to help me keep it straight. There we go. And then we have two choices here. We'll see which one fits better. I think this thin one is going to fit a little better on this gusset this time. So because we don't want it to touch the score lines. So I'm going to go ahead and cover that, put that in place. There we go. Trying to line things up as we go. And then again, like I say, we could take these and cut them down to be little photo mats. Maybe I'll just cut one down here. I'll make this a 3-inch so that it matches the others. 3x4. Yep, and that means this will be 3x4 as well. Yep, perfect. So these I'm just going to tuck into the pocket, right? And when I add the pocket down, so what I'm going to do, I'll glue this in place just because we're on this page. Because we know we're going to tuck something into the pocket, we want to make sure we keep the adhesive just to the outside as far as we can. So I'm just going to go ahead and add adhesive to there and to the left side and to the bottom. And then I have a little bit there. I'm just going to fold that to the back. Go ahead and glue this in place. I'm just lining this up on the edges here. So then, and I'll let that sit for a moment. And then that allows the pieces of paper or the mats to just tuck in like that. You could add photos to this, or you could put some pattern or white paper cardstock on them, and you could write little notes and things on there. You could even tuck it in this way with the little snowman. Just depends on how you like to do that. So I'm just going to leave this in place in the interest of time, because now all we would do is go back and add all of these pieces down. Again, this pocket, I would only add the glue to the outside to make sure that you can get your inserts for your pocket in there. And then we would just, once it's all glued down, we just glue this in place or tie this in place and make a little bow. Right. And then I would just trim this. I would work with this until I get it to be the size that I would like it to be. Just keep working that bow until it's the right size, and then I'll just trim these extra little pieces off. The one thing that I will mention on the original here, we see on the end here, I don't know if you can see that, it says the magic of winter. So this actually was the offcut from one of the pattern pieces of paper. See that little piece down here, the magic of winter? Let me see if I can tip that. There we go. That little piece is part of the slug. That's what this UPC branded strip is called. It's called a slug. I know it's a weird name, but that's what they call it apparently in the printing world. But this little piece and these little pieces, you could use these pattern bits on the end of the paper to either decorate your spine, or you could go ahead and trim this off. And here I just added it as the kind of label of the spine. So, and you could mat this if you wanted to as well. So anyway, I will do a quick walkthrough so you can see the final, imagine this glued together, because of course I would glue it together, but in the interest of time, I won't do that. I will go back after the live and glue these all in place. And there we go. We have the little flips open. You could add a photograph here. You could also add a photograph over top here if you chose to. And then that one on the end, I would put a photograph here and maybe some little extra little bits tucked in, like such as these they'll have a few other little photographs in and tuck those in as well. And then close that up, and the back is beautifully covered as well. And then we would just go ahead and tie this back closed. And there we have it. I'm not the greatest at bows, so I'll do the best I can. There we go. We have the bow debate almost every live. If you would like some entertainment, watching me try to tie a bow with tiny things, go back and watch some of our other videos. You'll enjoy. It'll give you a giggle. Anyway, there's the two projects. We've got a lighter one and a darker one. You could use this base for any other theme as well. Of course, it would be beautiful in Christmas or birthday or celebration, somebody's retirement. It would be a beautiful gift for them as well. And I hope you enjoy creating one. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to my front-facing camera. There we go. Let me just turn the light on so I don't look orange. There we go. Well, thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed that little tutorial on how to create a little mini folio that uses the cut-apart sheets that you see in the store. Please, if you do create one, send us a link, email us, or pop it into the Facebook page. We would love to see what you're creating. And if you have any questions at all, you can email me. I'm happy to help, or give us a call at the store. I'm happy to help as well. Okay, that's it for this week. If you would love to join us, we'd love to see you again next week. We go live most Tuesdays at 2. Sometimes we have a little bit of things going on and we can't quite get to it, but we do the best we can to go live every Tuesday at 2. And going into the new year, we'll be continuing that as well. So I hope you all have a great week. And again, if you have any questions at all, please reach out. Have a great week. Okay, we'll see you next week, Tuesday at 2, right here. Bye.